I, Martin Kelly, do hereby give notice that a meeting of Blackburn with Darwin Borough Council Forum will be held at Blackburn Town Hall on Thursday the 2nd of October at 6 p.m. Madam Mayor, just before we start tonight's meeting, the Leader of Council would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm sure that I can safely say that everyone in this council is horrified by the events in Manchester this morning. The thoughts and prayers of everyone in this council are with the victims' families and the wider community of the Heaton Park Synagogue. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Mayor Shapley couldn't make it, so I've been delegated the task. But, obviously, our thoughts and prayers are, as Councillor Riley just said, with the tragic events that's happened in Manchester. It is always sad to see a life lost for no reason. It is even worse to see any place of worship, whatever it is, wherever it is, be subjected to this. And it really is a sad day for Manchester, for Lancashire, and for all of us. And we can only try and support and do our best to help them. And I'm sure that if we were called upon to do anything, we will. And it's one of those occasions where we all have to contemplate the language that we use, that the thoughts and deeds that we do are for the better of mankind and for everybody. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Madam Mayor, we'll now receive any apologies for absence tonight. I've had notice of absence from Councillor Ahmad, Imtiaz, Councillor Sonia Khan, Councillor Rana Khan, Councillor Rigby and Councillor Taylor. Are there any other apologies that we need to note?
Councillor Jean Rigby.
Pardon?
Councillor Jean Rigby.
Yeah, I've said yeah.
Councillor Taylor.
Yes, we've got Brian. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. You got those outside? Yeah. Yeah. Madam Mayor, the first item of business tonight is to receive and approve the minutes of the Council Forum meeting held on the 24th of July. Second. Now we'll receive any declarations of interest from members, which should be lodged with Nafisha and Jane in the usual way. Do we have any? Have we noted those? We've noted those. Thank you, Becky. Right. Madam Mayor, the next item of business is to receive your mayoral communication.
Fellow councillors, myself and the Mayoress have had a busy but interesting time. Since the last council meeting, one of the most impressive was the celebration of VJ held at Lancaster Castle. We attended it along with the Lord Lieutenant. Then we went to a garden party at Limmer Village. We did the Hyndburn tour, which was very informative. We attended afternoon tea for CAP at St James's Church, Lower Darwen. The launch pad of the old Debenham site by Blackburn College for young people who have left school but are drifting. This gives them advice and free coffee, guides them to where they want to be and advise them how to achieve that. We attended Partley Birth Centre, which is its 15-year celebration. We attended Darwen Western Cemetery unveiling a memorial of World War II heroes. We attended the Empire Theatre production of Calendar Girls, and we were honoured to host the AGM of the Samaritans, which was attended by the Lord Lieutenant, the MP and mayors from other boroughs. Myself and the mayoress was very moved to attend the Alcohol and Drugs Award presentation. It was wonderful to see the amazing work they do and the successes they have. With this programme, the staff and the volunteers are dedicated and deserve praise and thanks for their work and commitment. Friday we went to the Sports Council Awards, and Saturday was the Mayoress at Home at Burnley Townley Hall. They have spent £3.5 million updating it. It is amazing and well worth a visit. Just this afternoon we attended the Judges' annual service with full robes. And before I finish, it would be very remiss of me, for past mayors and mayoresses and councillors, to thank Andrew, the mayor's attendant, for 18 years' service to this borough, and already greatly missed. He has been a rock at guiding us through till we appoint someone for his post. And this on a personal vote, on the 24th of November, we are holding at Rankin Huddleston a Lancashire night, 2 courses for £23 for the charity for the Mayor and Mayoress. The Mayor's annual Carol Memorial Service on December the 3rd is this year to be held at the Cathedral as King George's Hall is closed. Our Mayor's Ball is to be held at Blackburn Rovers, Saturday, February the 14th, Valentine's night, where we'll be also celebrating the fact that the Rovers are so many years old. I'm sorry, I haven't got the exact but thank you for that.
Madam Mayor, there is one question that's been received from a member of the public under Procedure Rule 10. This is a question for the Executive Member for Growth and Development.
Residents of Meadowbrook Rise are facing serious and ongoing problems caused by the developer's failure to meet basic obligations. These include fraudulent warranties, unsafe and unfinished roads and pavements, the complete absence of street lighting, hazardous waste left on site, and unadopted drainage and sewer systems that may not meet proper standards. These failures put our health, safety and security at risk every day and raise serious questions about why effective enforcement action was not taken sooner by the Council. Our single and urgent question is this: what immediate and practical steps will the Council now take, using its enforcement powers, financial securities and any other available mechanisms, to hold the developer accountable and ensure all essential works and obligations on Meadowbrook Rise are finally completed to a proper standards? The scale and seriousness of these issues means that a simple written response is not enough. We urgently request a private meeting with the executive members responsible so that residents can set out the full extent of our concerns and the Council can explain how it intends to protect us and deliver the estate as we were promised. We cannot continue to live with these risks and uncertainties identified. A clear plan of action is needed now.
Thank you, Mr. Javid, for your question. And I have a response here, and I'm sure you'll get a copy of this. And after my response, you're entitled to one further question if you wish to ask another one. So firstly, the Council fully sympathises with the residents who are facing problems on this private housing site. Since the development started in 2018, the Council has carried out many enforcement actions. This has involved the serving of breach of condition notices relating to drainage details, boundary treatments, retaining structures, and remediation of contaminated land. A temporary stop notice was also served relating to unauthorised raised platforms which were constructed on several plots, which have now been removed and dealt with. In addition, since the developer confirmed that they intended to maintain the internal roads as a private road, not to be adopted by the council has been highlighting this to house buyers through local searches to be noted on conveyancers and buyers during the house purchase process. Also, prosecution of Heron Homes regarding fly tipping has been progressed by the council and is due to be heard at the Magistrates' Court on 5th of November 2025. The council understands that the Environment Agency is also investigating this issue, and any health and safety issues have been reported to the Health and Safety Executive. The council is seeking legal advice on next steps, but as you will appreciate, these details cannot be shared openly at this stage. Please note that the council is taking this matter very seriously and has done, regularly visiting the site and acting on issues raised wherever it is within the council's powers to do so. The homeowners should also seriously consider their options, such as approaching their conveyancing solicitors, warranty providers, insurance company, or looking into collective action. Thank you.
So, are we able to have a private meeting with the executive member on an urgent basis to further discuss what's happened and why it's happened? So we want answers.
I'm not against the idea of a private meeting. I don't know if there'll be much more that I'll be able to share, but if that's going to sort of alleviate some of your fears and allow you to get some more information over to us, happy to do that.
There are two motions submitted under Procedure Rule 12 tonight. The first motion is to be moved by Councillor Terry Mahmood.
Madam Mayor, in light of today's appalling terrorist attack, we unequivocally condemn this act of violence. Our thoughts and prayers are with all those affected by the brutal assault. We stand in solidarity with the victims, their families, and the communities shaken by this tragedy. May justice prevail, and may peace and resilience guide us forward. Colleagues, tonight I pose a critical question. Will we remain silent in the face of undeniable sufferings? The world has witnessed the devastating reality: families unearthing children from rubble, targeted attacks on journalists and medics, aid convoys under fire, and families starving at food distribution points. These images are not fabrications. The UN has confirmed famine in Gaza, and renowned experts and organizations have raised grave concerns about genocide. However, our government's stance has shifted from acknowledging the possibility of genocide to refusing to draw conclusions. This inconsistency raises questions about accountability and transparency. By choosing not to suspend arms sales and instead welcoming leaders implicated in alleged war crimes, our government sends a troubling message. True recognition requires action. We welcome the Prime Minister's decision to recognise the Palestine state, but true recognition also demands concrete actions. Ending arms sales, cease selling weapons used to harm innocent Palestinians. Naming the crimes, acknowledge the atrocities committed and take responsibility. Stopping hypocrisy. Align our action with our words. Aligning with UN directive, support measures that protect civilians, such as deploying international peacekeeping forces under UN mandate. Supporting Palestinian security forces, providing training and assistance while ensuring respect for human rights. A call to action. We urge our government to move beyond rhetoric and take tangible steps to address the situation in Palestine. Let's ensure our actions align with our values and international law, prioritising civilian protection and human rights. Silence is complicity. I implore you to support this motion tonight, not as a political gesture, but as a moral imperative. To oppose this motion is to turn away from fundamental principles of human rights. It is to ignore the suffering of innocent civilians, men, women and children who face starvation, displacement and the horrors of war crimes unfolding in real time. This is not a distance crisis. It's a humanitarian emergency that demands our voice, our values and our action. Let history record where we stood. Thank you, Adam.
Yeah, I'd like to second that motion, Madam Mayor. Will I have the right to speak? Thank you. Before I second the motion, I also would like to express my deepest condolences following the tragic events in Manchester and the loss of 3 lives. Our thoughts and prayers are with their families and loved ones at these difficult times. Channel 4 News has revealed what this government hoped no one would notice, despite claiming last year to have suspended arms sales to Israel. UK weapons worth nearly 400,000 entered Israel in June, the highest monthly figure on record. These shipments were listed under category that includes bombs, grenades, torpedoes, missiles and mines. And remember, while 29 licenses were suspended, over 350 remain active, more than 160 of them for military use. At the same time, the United Nations Commission of Inquiry has concluded there are reasonable grounds to believe Israel is committing 4 acts of genocide: killing, causing serious bodily and mental harm, deliberate destruction, and preventing births. The International Court of Justice has said there is a plausible risk of genocide. The United Nations Special Rapporteur calls it the anatomy of a genocide. The International Association of Genocide Scholars voted overwhelmingly the same. Even Israeli human rights agree. So I ask you, is the world lying? Are the UN, the ICJ, the international lawyers, and humanitarians all lying? Or is it our Prime Minister who's lying to the public? We have seen the images, families dragging children out of rubble, journalists and medics targeted, aid convoys bombed, starving families waiting for food only to come under fire. Are these fabrications? The United Nations confirmation of famine a lie? And yet, instead of ending arms sales, this government rolled out the red carpet for President Herzog, the man who has publicly signed munitions used in this war, while ICC arrest warrants hang over Israeli leaders. What message does that send over British values? And let's not forget, Sir Keir Starmer has recognized the state of Palestine. But colleagues, what has changed? Has the bombing stopped? No. Has the killing of children stopped? No. Has the starvation stopped? No. Recognition means nothing if it is not backed up by action. If we recognize Palestine, then why do we not sanction Israel for war crimes? Why do we not halt the sale of arms that fuel this war? Why do we not use Britain's voice to support the helpless rather than arm the powerful? Colleagues, silence in the face of atrocity is not neutrality. Silence is complicity. We also commit injustice by doing nothing. This is not about taking sides in a conflict. It's about taking the side of humanity, of law, of truth. To say clearly, starvation is wrong, bombing hospitals is wrong, killing children is wrong, genocide is wrong. History will judge us, not kindly if we look away now. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Echo the words of colleagues in terms of our condolences and our thoughts and prayers with the victims of the attack at the synagogue today in Crumpsall, Manchester. In light of the events, I was kind of hopeful that the independence proposer and seconder would actually withdraw the motion, which felt appropriate to do, but they've chosen not to. But I'd like to speak to that and also move an amendment which everybody has got on their desks, Madam Mayor. This council has got a proud record of speaking up for atrocities whenever they occur, be that anywhere, any part of the world. And on this particular issue, this council was the first nationally, back in October the 7th, 2 years ago, to put a motion calling for a ceasefire. So we haven't remained silent. We have actively used our voices in this chamber to put our voice forward. And the amendment that's in front of you, I'm going to move to that because I think that's appropriate. And I'll read it out as my amendment, which will be then seconded by my colleague. The world has witnessed the devastating reality. Families unearthing children from rubble, targeted attacks on journalists and medics, and convoys under fire, and families starving of food distribution points. Airstrikes have continued and intensified the humanitarian crisis, causing significant casualties, including children, and further escalating the situation. These actions are part of what the International Court of Justice and the global human rights organisations and the UN have confirmed as genocide. With Israel's policies in occupied Palestinian territories violating international law, including illegal settlements and systematic oppression, while the humanitarian crisis demands urgent international intervention, it is vital that the international community recognises the only long-term solution will be through a two-state solution secured through UN involvement. The Labour Party, in its manifesto last year, before the general elections, committed to recognising the state of Palestine, and we welcome the steps taken by the Prime Minister taking the lead with other international countries in recognising the state of Palestine. This needs to be the start of working towards a viable two-state solution. The UN has confirmed famine, and renowned experts and organisations have raised grave concerns about genocide. However, our government stance has shifted from acknowledging the possibility of genocide to refusing to draw conclusions, and that may change. This inconsistency raises questions about accountability and transparency. The government has suspended some arms sales to Israel, but in light of the continued violations, the government needs to go further and suspend all arms sales. So this council calls on the government to end arms sales, cease selling of weapons used to harm innocent Palestinians to Israel, naming the crimes, acknowledging the atrocities committed, and take responsibility in line with UN reports. Number 3, advocate for an unconditional ceasefire and prioritise the protection of civilians with the release of all hostages and prisoners, whilst working towards liaising lasting peace and two-state solution as agreed in the UN resolutions. Concrete measures need to be taken to aligning with numerous UN directives that protect civilians, such as deploying the international peacekeeping force under UN mandate, supporting Palestinian security forces, providing training and assistance, with ensuring respect for human rights, with unhindered access to aid into Gaza. So, call to action. We urge our government to continue to take tangible steps to address the situation in Palestine, to ensure our actions align with our values and international law, prioritising civilian protection and human rights. We ask the Chief Executive and the Leader of the Council to write to the Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary to halt arms sales, call for an immediate ceasefire with lasting peace and a two-state solution, as outlined in the party manifesto, and ensure adherence to international law, including compliance with ICJ and ICC rules. The Council resolves to support humanitarian aid efforts, foster local dialogue to counter the hate, and back peaceful initiatives to promote justice and long-term peace for both sides of the conflict. Additionally, the Council urges the Government to review trade agreements with companies involved in illegal activities in the region, ensure no complicity in acts of genocide, and increase humanitarian support for Gaza civilians. And I'd like to move that amendment, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
So I'll second it. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am really disappointed that this motion has gone forward tonight. Our group, in the light of what's happened today, will vote against this motion. We feel it is inappropriate, it is in bad taste, and felt that it could have been dealt with in a better way. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I think we can all agree what's has happened in both Israel and Gaza are terrible events. But I think we lose sight here sometimes. We'll waste our time talking in this chamber on a piece of, policy which doesn't affect us as councillors, which we should be concerning ourselves with Blackburn, with Darwin, of the problems in this borough, not international events. That's for the House of Commons, for the Foreign Secretary to deal with. You've got an independent MP to raise these concerns, to push this forward. Our job in this council is to work for the people of Blackburn with Darwin. And unfortunately, we seem regular to have these issues come up where we talk about anything but the needs of this borough. And sometimes it just feels like it's just grandstanding for certain people and certain parties just to speak, to keep the momentum going for a set of votes on a set of issues which there are victims, real victims, and sometimes I just feel that the councillors use their position just to try and garner some votes at the behest of some very sad events. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Obviously, I totally disagree with Conservatives' take on this motion. We need to understand and we need to agree this war has been happening for 2 years, and there's plenty evidence that genocide has been committed by the Israeli government. So therefore, it's our responsibility to make sure that we have a peaceful solution and make sure that not many more people are starved at it, and also take action and make sure we stop the arms sales and continue to make sure and we go to the two-state solution and have a peaceful solution for people of Gaza.
Can you turn your button off, please?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just echoing what Councillor Amaro said. Councillor Amaro, we represent the people of Blackburn. People of Blackburn have a lot of concerns. Well, we understand what's happening in Manchester, and yes, we have sent our condolences to that. But you've also got to remember there's over 70,000 people, men, women and children who have died in a genocide. We have people of Blackburn who are concerned about this, and we have to speak up, raise issues about this. The only way we can send a message to the Prime Minister is through the opposite Labour Party who are in charge. The Chief Executive will send a letter, as well as the Labour hopefully will send a letter to the Prime Minister regarding our concerns. So it's not just a case of international law, and we shouldn't forget about it. We are representing the people of Blackburn. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
First of all, my prayers and thoughts with the victims in Manchester. I too didn't think I'd be speaking today, but anyway. I want to support the amendment put forward by Keza. But I just want to say, a few days ago, Hassan Zamlak, the ambassador for Palestine, was in conference in Manchester. He was addressing the delegates there, and he came there to thank the members and the government for recognizing Palestine. He thought it was a big thing. He drew parallels with South Africa and the apartheid regime there. And the two countries who opposed or were the last ones that kept supporting apartheid were Israel and the US. He surmised that these two countries would be the last ones to recognize Palestine. But nevertheless, he said when Britain stood up against apartheid, many countries followed, and it ended apartheid in South Africa. And he felt that having Britain recognizing Palestine, other countries would follow suit, and indeed 157 of the United Nations, 193 member states have now recognized Palestine. I was struck how positive he spoke about Britain, our country. Even after what's happened in the last 2 years, he was respectful. He agreed it was difficult. We had to get the consensus of other countries before we could recognize it. It was in our manifesto. That was the agreement. And that really struck me because he was so positive about Britain. Yet here in this borough, never mind praising the borough, we can't praise our own country. We are people who spread hate, cause divisions, create a toxic environment, disrespect each other. And I was really impressed the way he came over. What I'm asking the elected members here in this borough is to stand up and be counted. Put love before hate, unite before division, and let's send a positive message to the rest of the borough. I think we need to get together, show community cohesion, create an environment where we respect each other, tolerance, agree to disagree, and respect each other. We don't have to agree all the time, but I think as elected members, we should be setting the example in this borough. And with what's happening around the country, I think it's about time we stood up and be counted. With that, I'd like to move the amended motion put forward by the Labour Party.
This vote Councillor Mahmood, you have a right to reply. Terry Mahmood, you have a right to reply. No, that's fine. That's fine. This next vote is vote by button. It's a button vote.
On the amendment.
On the amendment.
Yeah.
Okay. The amendment is carried.
Yeah.
The amendment is carried.
A final vote on the substantive motion.
The next vote is on the substantial motion.
Yes, on the substantive motion.
Substantial motion. Again, it's vote by button.
The substantive motion is carried.
Which one, sir?
Sorry?
The amendment motion is carried.
The substantive motion is carried.
The substantial motion is carried.
Motion, and it's to be moved by Councillor Kevin Connor. Sorry, just for clarification, the first vote was to vote on the amendment, and the second vote was to vote on the substantive motion. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Is Kevin? Are we back to Kevin? Yeah.
Right, thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to put forward now this motion about the Chancellor's forthcoming budget, which is in November, so she's plenty of time to think about things. This Council believes it has a duty to express to government ministers the fears and concerns of businesses and residents within the borough regarding policies that may be taken in the autumn budget. Tax increases could further impact on the financial and economic hardship already being felt. We appreciate the challenges that the Chancellor faces in presenting a budget that will provide sufficient resource to maintain public services, cut the nation's debt and encourage economic growth. The Chancellor has consistently promised she will not raise taxes on working people, recognising that this is open to interpretation. We put forward the following evidence that demonstrates reducing unwieldy bureaucracy would be the preferable option. On 12th of December 2024, Sky News reported that there were 513,000 full-time civil servants in Whitehall, an increase of 133,000 from a low of 380,000 in 2016. On 2nd of September, London Evening Standard reported that official data shows that average occupancy across all government ministries fell from 75% in March to 72% in June. The biggest decline was in the Cabinet Office, which fell from 98% to 83%. After winning the election in July, Labour dropped the Conservative target to cap the civil service to its October 2023 headcount to 488,000. On Thursday, 13th of March 2025, the Prime Minister delivered a speech in Yorkshire that was trailed by government to be about the bonfire of the Quangos. The Taxpayers Alliance found Quangos swallowed up 376 billion, that's billion, not million, of taxpayers' cash in a year. The Sun on September 2025 reported Britain's 438 publicly funded bodies with 500,000 staff accounted for a third of government spending last year. NHS England, which Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has promised to abolish, got 175 billion in 2023-24, which could release, when completed, £500 million. In June, the government announced it would abolish 201 National Health Service organisations as part of a 10-year plan. That's assuming to still be in office in 10 years. Labour has set up more than 20 since winning the election last year, including Great British Energy and Skills England. In contrast, the 2010 David Cameron-led government abolished nearly 300. In 2018, a dedicated team of cost recovery experts was established to work with health trusts and cost recovery managers in the NHS to help reclaim outstanding debts from overseas visitors who are required to pay for their care. Figures show that in the last 3 years alone, the NHS is owed £252 million by overseas patients. Research by the Policy Exchange think tank indicates hospitals recovered only 39% of the £384 million due in treatment fees from 2021 to 2024. The study also found some hospitals routinely fail to collect after discharge. We request that the Chief Executive write to the Chancellor of the Exchequer to propose the following: that the Chancellor keep her promise by not increasing taxes in the forthcoming budget and employing instead efficiencies in governance to reduce the nation's debt and taxes on business and the public. Demonstrate her commitment to do this by reasserting that she has no doubt that departments can find 5% savings. Serious consideration be given to reducing the increase in employers' national insurance contributions, which is increasing unemployment in many sectors. Sufficient impetus is taken to ensure the Prime Minister's bonfire of the Quangos is fully achieved. 2 years as quoted by the Minister of Health to integrate NHS England into the Department for Health and Social Care is far too long. A 10 years plan does not demonstrate commitment. A review be undertaken to assess the effectiveness of public regulatory bodies such as Ofgem and Ofwat, and if parliamentary select committees will be a more efficient, economical and accountable use of resource. And finally, to address the threshold of the basic band of income tax with a view to raise it in order to protect those on low income. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Connor, have you got a seconder?
I second that motion, Madam Mayor, with the right to reply.
Councillor Riley.
I don't think anybody here would suggest that everything that the new government has done has been perfect, least of all any of us. But what I would say, I think, is that however many errors they have made, we're not yet anywhere near the scale of the errors made by Liz Truss in her 49 days of chaos. And I'm struggling, Kevin, to remember whether you moved a motion like this during. Well, you probably didn't have time, did you? Because she was here and gone between councils. But let me make a point really, which is that what the government is trying to do. We've had austerity for 15 years. 2010. Whether we needed it or not is a very long and complex debate. What is certainly true, and to pick up Councillor Marrow's point about being relevant to Blackburn with Darwen, what is certainly true is that in the early days of austerity, Blackburn with Darwen and the residents were more affected negatively than any other place in the UK. Don't remember any of you guys doing any shouting about that at the time, but that was what it is. And if you want to see the figures, Sigoma have got figures and various other bodies. So that was what happened. And the evidence is absolutely all around us. This council had to make significant cuts in all sorts of different ways. What the Labour government are doing is they are fulfilling their promise to start to roll back on the impact of austerity. And that is in terms of, so the financial settlement that we got last year is the best that we've had in years. And next year will be the first of a 3-year settlement, which gives us the chance to start to plan. What you've seen during this summer is the spending of around £30 million that has come to us to start to put back into place the damage that was done to the road network in this borough by the 15 years of austerity. So I don't think we're making any apologies for the direction of travel. And what I would say is that by making a sort of fairly broad brush attack on things like quangos, etc., then essentially what you're attacking is you're attacking the principle of trying to get the country back on its feet. I'm quite clear that some of the quangos clearly are probably well not be necessary, but in principle what they do is they support the public sector in the work that they do. So what we're not going to do, I'm afraid, is support a kind of broad brush attempt that says, and I mean, and you're talking in here about lots of civil servants, let's get rid of lots of civil servants. And that seems to us to not be particularly smart, because why would we do? That's just another enhanced view of looking at austerity. Because civil servants, whether you like it or you don't like it, they do a job of work. Just like the staff who work for us in this council do a job of work. And it's all very well for people to make observations about the council staff, and nothing in this council is perfect, but people do jobs of work. If you start to get rid of civil servants, then who's going to do whatever it is that those people are doing? So this is broad brush, unintelligent stuff, if I may say so. So on that subject, we're not going to support it. What we are supporting is we're supporting the government in putting back the basics of this country, starting to rebuild on the back of the damage that has been done in the last 15 years, and hopefully that will be what we can continue to do in the course of the next 3 years, and hopefully onwards after that. But that's what the difference is. And in truth, really, what this does is it summarises the difference between us and you. We want to rebuild the country. You, I think, are still content with the concept of austerity, wherever that gets you to. It might well get you to reduce taxes, which benefit well-off people. And if you do that, how on earth do you then support the public services? What the last umpteen years has illustrated in this country is that you cannot have the kind of level of public services that we have got used to, and the level of public services that we believe that people want, and an American-style low-based tax. Doesn't work. You say that it does work. There's no one here from Reform, but they say that all the time. They say that they can make those things meet. What the last 15 years has illustrated is that's not true. The thing that suffers, well, the two things that happen is that wealthier people get more wealthy, and the public services get damaged. So I'm afraid we're going to vote against this because really I think it's unintelligent rubbish.
Councillor Sajali.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Councillor Riley has said most of the things what I wanted to say. However, I'd just like to remind Councillor Marrow, all these decisions are taken in the Parliament and not in Blackburn with Darwen. We're going to look at the local issues here, and we will stick with the local issues, i.e. environment, highways, other things. The other thing is, this is appalling. I have utmost respect for Kevin. However, half of the things what he said, I couldn't even understand a word what he said. If I didn't read it, I wouldn't know. 13 years, I know Councillor Raleigh said 15, but 13 years that I can remember of the austerity in Blackburn with Darwen, in fact all the country, is both to its knees, really. And today, they have the audacity to make a speech against the ruling of the government, which I'm not in favour of the leader, Keir Starmer himself. However, with the pressure being put on him, he is doing U-turns, he is listening. So therefore, I think I would like to say, the Tories have no room to sort of speak. Thank you.
Councillor Marrow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just surprised that Councillor Riley is talking about not getting rid of quangos and all the rest of it, when very soon we are going to be looking at the local government restructuring, where we're going to amalgamate to get rid of councils, basically to save money, £34 billion worth of savings across the country. 1 minute he's ridiculing making savings by getting rid, and yet the party opposite and generally in this council chamber, we are in favour of doing it because we know it's needed. It saves money. It's a restructuring. It's also austerity through the back door, a way of saving money. And yet Councillor Riley seems... Sorry? Yeah, like my colleagues just said, as all the redundancy that's going to come with it, and yet you're there bashing this proposal, but taking forward your austerity with your local government restructure. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Mahood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just on the point of local government reform, I think it's worth reminding the Conservatives that's about devolution. And with devolution comes more money that we will spend here and make local decisions for our residents. So yes, whilst it's the concept of rearranging and actually being more efficient, it's about bringing more money locally to the county of Lancashire and the county and the unitaries that will be created. So absolutely welcome that, and we will fully support that. Going back to the points that they're making in terms of the austerity and what Phil Riley has already covered, absolutely, we've had 13 years or more of austerity, and we've stood here in this council chamber, meeting after meeting, talking about the impact of that, and yet none of them really mentioned the waste of money that their government did with their friends, and we heard it this week with the PPE scandal, and how much money has actually been wasted to give to contracts to their friends to allow to deliver unusable PPE. So again, they're here to tell us what to do, but we're fully supporting the rebuilding of this country and actually making policies which benefit all and not just a few. So I fully support the fact that we won't be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Councillor Floyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to bring attention to the opposition to a book that I read about the doing away of quangos. It was around COVID. It's called When the Dust Settles, and it was by an experienced civil servant who talked about the demise of austerity and how it got rid of, good people who really knew their stuff. And the last chapter she wrote was just before it went to press was about Grenfell, because that epitomised Tory austerity and how it put people's lives at risk. So I am proud to have good civil servants, good council staff who know their stuff and get down into the weeds and the details of any proposition. I was also conscious of your little sort of twinge to do about trying to get money out of those who come from abroad and we don't get the money back. That is being done. But it's actually tiny. What is the total spend of the NHS? 252 billion. And you mentioned a figure of million. You need to get your measurements out so you've got some idea of how tiny that is. But you said it in a public forum to wind up that little bit of antagonism, which is exactly what Shortcut was saying earlier on, we don't need in this town. Thank you.
Councillor Slater.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am so glad that Councillor Riley said that. Yes, there is a massive difference between spend and tax.
than there is save, live within your means and try and get the national debt down. We'll see what happens in November when the budget comes along and see what the opinion polls say about your budget, because it's going to be not good. And as for anyone naive in this chamber, Councillor Floyd, who doesn't think that the staff are going to get cut, that we're going to lose lots of good staff through your idea of reorganisation, when you want to save over £500 million just in Lancashire alone. Yeah? And where's that coming from? Is that coming through just getting through a few councillors? No. That's because you're duplicating jobs, and there will be lots and lots and lots of staff, good staff from here that will go. And you can bury your heads in the sand, you can deny it all you want, but the truth will come out in 2 years' time when we come to reorganise and we start trooping staff across and then asking people who wants personal redundancies. And it's all right you saying that we're 100 million when it's billions. My grandma used to say, look after the pennies and the pounds will look after themselves. And she was right. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Julie Gunn.
I'm happy to reserve and speak later, Madam Mayor, if that makes life easier.
Sorry, Julie.
That's fine, I can speak later.
It's just a clarification. Apparently, when they've had the right to reply, there's no one else can speak. Kevin Connick.
Madam Mayor, I think Julie's already indicated to speak what Kevin did. Yeah. So I think Julie
Sorry.
Speak if you... Right.
It's perfectly fine, Madam Mayor. I'll take this opportunity then. I just want to raise a few points, really. Obviously, there are data lapses. We all understand that. But the data that you're referring to in your motion largely is when your party was in power, when the Prime Minister Liz Truss that you supported was in power, when Boris Johnson, who you supported, was in power. So we understand the data lapses, but the data that you provided refers to when your government was in power. Secondly, I just want to speak about our track values in Blackburn with Darwen. We all know what the track values are. If we don't, shame on you. I'm not going to repeat them here. What I do want to say is that every time we discuss local government reorganisation in this chamber, the Conservatives have been fully supportive of it and behind it, and you've said that quite openly. But constantly we have this threat of redundancies. And constantly, every time you say that, every officer in this council wonders what on earth is going to happen to them. Well, if you think logically, like we are doing, Blackburn with Darwen won't necessarily grow in size, but we will become part of a larger unitary authority, thereby employing more, not fewer, staff. Our officers, our retention of officers has improved significantly over the last few years. We've got some fantastic officers, as you know, and I know you don't disagree with me on that. So what I want to say is, could I respectfully ask you to stop the scaremongering and just remember that the greatest cuts to staff in this council have happened under Tory-led austerity, not through the future of local government reorganisation. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Connor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, just to excite Councillor Darley, there's a bit more rubbish here for you. UK unemployment in July was 1.67 million, 4.7% compared to 4.2% the previous year. End of the Conservative government, so in 12 months, gone up by 0.5%. It's a 4-year high, by the way, as well. Inflation's 3.8 compared to 2.2 in July 2024. Borrowing exceeded forecast by 11.4 billion between April and August this year. All your achievements since you came into office. The Office for National Statistics revealed that analysis shows that fiscal drag, where households suffer from a higher tax burden because of income tax bans, do not move in line with inflation, as hit poorer households more than wealthier families. So that knocked that one on the head for you. The data also show that the proportion of people living in households receiving more in benefits than they have paid in taxes, direct and indirect, is 53.3%. That's 35.8 million, just did you want to know the figure. The Employment Agency employs over 12,000 staff with a budget for 25-26 of 2.27 billion. These are billions, Councillor. Not millions, not little bits, big bits. In September, documents and data shared with the BBC News show that the Environment Agency only sent investigations to a small fraction of reported incidents last year and often relied on water companies who may be responsible for the pollution for updates. They attended around 100 or almost a third of nearly 100 water and industry pollution incidents that were eventually ruled to have posed a serious threat to nature. An internal agency document states that all potentially serious incidents should be attended by staff. So, ominously, to cure all this, their answer from the agency is they expect to recruit another 500 more staff and, more ominously, improve the way it handles data. I suggest they don't share it with the BBC. A new league table has revealed that the NHS is still paying off. Again, we talked about the NHS. Here we go again. Private insurance initiatives, PFI loans, signed off by Tony Blair's government, not Conservative, Tony Blair's. NHS will have paid back, on average, almost 8 times the sum borrowed. The Essex Partnership University, just for interest, contracted a contract for 40 million, taken out in July 2003. Yeah? That ends in September 2038 and will have cost in total, again, big number for you, 1.1 billion. That's 27 times what was borrowed. On the average PFI project, NHS trusts have already paid back over 3.5 times what was borrowed, but still owes on average 605 million or 44 billion, big number, across all 80 PFI-laden trusts. It would seem that the only thing these bodies can be trusted with is to waste public money at an alarming rate, which surprises me that you're going to vote against something that's going to save money. Incredible. Incredible. You're the only people I know who will vote against saving money. Great stuff. I realise it would be high naivety to imagine taxes will not be raised in the budget, and extremely foolish for anyone to hope the Chancellor will fail to protect the economy and achieve growth. Although she'd only be online with all the Labour Chancellors that I've ever known who've you talk about trust.
Sorry, Councillor Connor, you've run
economy.
out of time.
Right.
We're moving to a vote, and it is button vote. motion has been lost.
The next item is to receive updates from other committees, and the overview and scrutiny report will be moved by Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll pull the mic on because you always complain because you don't see my picture and all that. Madam Mayor, elected members, you can see from the reports in front of you, from all the scrutiny committees, that some in-depth work is being carried out in all the tasks that is set out in their respective programmes at the beginning of the council year. My thanks to all elected members who are involved in each of the committees, including officers and staff, who work extremely hard to get all the information required for presentation slides so that members can carry out their work effectively. Scrutiny has highlighted there are some challenges going forward in finance and recruitment in some departments, which I'm sure executive members are well aware of. Now, before Dean Langton left, and I'm going to praise him in a minute, he left me a document which is 355 pages of the Council's finances for the coming years. So I'm going to look at those, and I will be instructing my members to scrutinise all the exec members to make sure that we're staying in budget. My thanks go to Dean. It's his lasting legacy. I hope he enjoys his new job. I understand he's on holiday now. Otherwise, he would have been here together. Congratulations. But he's coming back, I presume. But I want to thank you for his support to all the scrutiny committees when it comes to the question of finance. And also, again, it's important to get the 355 pages, which I'm doing bedtime reading, to make sure that each of the exec members is keeping within a 5-star restraint. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Slater.
Hi, Tony, and I'm glad you're going to read that document, but it just bothers me a bit. It bothered everybody that was on scrutiny, who was at the PNR, and everybody that was there. Brian's not there. All the ones that who were here, who got a beautiful slide saying that the pay award was 2%, and then it was going to be 2% for the next 4 years. To Matthew and to Brian and to Kevin, we all queried it as inflation's 3.5%. I then went to the main committee, which was audit, only to find out that it's 3.5% they've been awarded in the pay award. So if they're going to bring slides and you want us to question it properly, and everybody in that committee, to whether they were Labour or Conservative, when they looked at them slides, were very dubious that it was below inflation pay thing. So can you ask them, if they're going to come and bring stuff and you want us to scrutinise it, let's have the right information. It will be appreciated. Thank you.
Councillor Slater, who's seconding that? No, you need to second. Somebody needs to second it.
Yeah. It's a vote by hand.
Well, it's a vote by hands, is this one?
It's a report for noting.
So vote yes or no.
Hands up. Vote by hands because it's a report for noting. Yeah. I think that's carried. Yep, thank you. The next item of business is to consider a report on updates to the Chief Officer Senior Management Structure of the Council, which will be moved by the Leader.
Madam Mayor, there's a report which is listed in your papers of various constitutional, various updates to the Constitution. I don't propose for a second to work my way through all the papers, etc. They also do, as members will be aware, we are making a series of appointments at the moment, mainly to do with people who've left, gone to other places. So those are also included in the report. And if I may just divert marginally from the thing, one of the things they do include is the excellent Tony Watson as the Director of Environment, and that's something I'm personally pleased about. With that, I will move the report.
I'll second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have no problem with the appointments, and I welcome it, and I wish them all the best. I always have a bit of things when I read something that says we're giving delegated powers for making minor changes. And I know the council's not got long to run, and it's only got another 24 months, 36 months at the max. But it always makes me nervous when we start to give powers away and let people change things. Will the leader give us a guarantee that when these minor changes are made, that we will let people will be known and the Constitution will be updated so that we can understand what's being done? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Giulicerta.
Chance, can you give me an email? I'd like you to come and have a visit to Belmont about Rivington Road with me and the parish councillor and Councillor Jean Rigby, if that's okay. So you've got your first job. Thank you.
Councillor Riley, do you want to reply?
The next item of business are the reports from the leader and the executive members with portfolios. The first report is the leader's report. Have we? No, it's not. Have we? All right, sorry. I was enjoying it so much. Madam Mayor, the next report then is from the executive member for children and young people. All right, just like that. I was right. Right. Thank you. Leader, your report.
Councillor Riley to give the leader's report.
Much, Madam Mayor. It's good to know that you know what you're doing. The report's there for people to read. What I would just make one observation about is in the final paragraph I make a reference to an exhibition that's currently, that you were at the opening of, currently on in the Blackburn Museum, which is the Nature of Gothic, it's known as. It features exhibits that have never been seen, some of which have never been seen in this part of the country. It also involves the reuniting of the Hart collection, which was donated to Blackburn Council, as we were then, in 1946. But at the same time, what happened was that some of the items, a handful of the books, were given to Cambridge University. Those have come back for temporarily. So it's an absolutely wonderful exhibition, Madam Mayor. It absolutely accords with what we want to be doing, which is that we want the museum to be the absolute asset that it is. It's a wonderful place, it's got wonderful exhibits, and this is one of the first times that we've been able to really show them at their fullest. So I would just simply commend to everybody that it's on till, I think, the beginning of December. So you've got plenty of time to go. It really is well worth it. Thank you very much. I'll move the report, take any questions.
Second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Marrow.
Thank you, Councillor Riley. Just a quick one. It's on the making rooms. A great success. I know it has been. And we're investing £1.5 million in the making rooms. Just a quick one. Do we own the making rooms building itself? And having sat on planning, it never came to planning, and it was done under delegated powers with all the planning permissions. And it just concerns me when, if we do own it, it should have come, and also the director and the exec member for growth and development are both both directors of the making rooms, and so shouldn't it have come to planning? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Neil Slater.
To our leader, so thank you very much. This is, first of all, a thank you on behalf of me. As you remember, I'm the old councillor for Marsh House and did quite a lot on the planning. But I have to say, Kevin, Matthew and Andrew, with all the things that happened with the sinkhole, you've been an absolute credit to this council. The way that you've behaved and the way that you've helped the residents in such a difficult time, all three of you, has been outstanding. But as Jack Cousteau and the Old Force champion of Blackburn will tell you, when the tea and sympathy has gone and the dark comes in, you need a chink of light. So we've all had a discussion in our room, and we're going to put something forward to you as leader, that all those that are going to be affected by the increase of house insurance in that area, that you decrease the precept for them in the council, not the council tax, Vicky, because I know you can't touch that, all of that, because it's police and that, the council precept by 50%, so that it covers all the increase in the house insurances that they're going to have. If we were in power, or empowering a coalition, it would be done. It would be the right thing to do. But also as the right thing to do, I also have to congratulate you. In a lot of councils, all these beautiful flags, Union Jacks and St George's flags, have been taken down. And as leader of this council, you've not gone down the petty route of removing them. So I thank you for that and hope you'll be able to carry on that forward. Vicky, we have checked it legally with the government. It is possible to do. Thank you.
Councillor Riley, I'd just like to make a personal point. I've been today to the judges' parade and swearing in of the new judges. We were taken to a local church for the service, and I sat there around all these dignitaries, and believe me, there was a lot of dignitaries, and I thought, how lucky we are. We have a cathedral. They had to go to a church. Preston don't have a cathedral, and yet they're a city. So to me, that seems unfair, because we are a city. We should be a city. We have a cathedral that we are proud of, very proud of, and does us proud too. It puts some amazing things on us, Phil knows. That is from just a personal remark, but I just wanted to make it in front of everybody, so everybody realises how unfair it is that Preston's a city and they don't even have a cathedral. Councillor Riley.
Madam Mayor, that's, I think...
I missed, that was because I took a personal... Sorry, Councillor Slater.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of points on the leader's report. The first one is, as a group, our heartfelt sympathies go out to the family of the lady who was killed in Wend Park. I'm surprised you didn't mention something of that as well, but I think it's upon all of us to try and support and do what we can to help them. No one's saying we're to blame or anything like that. I'm just talking about actually mentioning it and sending our condolences and supporting. It's the right thing to do. And on the last thing, on the museum, I have been to the museum and it is excellent. I must admit, it is. I'm a great supporter of the museum, as Damien will tell you, and it is absolutely superb. And it's really, really good to see something like that come to Blackburn. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Sorry about that, Phil. Now it's you.
Agree with you about the iniquity of us failing yet again, failing the last time when we went for city status. I suppose that, I think the consolation for us is that in the end we are a city in action rather than a city with a nameplate at the bottom of Brockhall Brow on the way into Preston. So, and maybe at some stage that opportunity will come. But the point that you make, which is absolutely fair, is what an asset the cathedral is. It's a terrific asset to the borough, to just the way in which the borough works, I absolutely agree with you. The making rooms, yes, we own it, and the report came to the exec board. Does that help? So it came to the exec board, right? Thank you for the observations about the sinkhole. I think it was it was a difficult set of times, but I think it was absolutely exemplary in the way in which the council dealt with that. I need to consult with my finance colleague as to whether there's any merit in. I understand the point you're making. I think it has a ring. Anyway, I understand the point you're making. We will have a look at it. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Madam Mayor, the next report is from the Executive Member for Children and Young People. Julie Gunn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I move my report, I just want to take a few moments to talk about how my report really reflects what we expect from a Labour government. The report speaks about the rollout of the family hubs. Admittedly, this was a programme begun under the Conservative government. I don't shy away from that fact, but we all know it was built on Sure Start, which was started by the Labour government. But I'm really delighted to see that we were obviously a pathfinder. We've gone from strength to strength as family hubs, and we are now seeing the rollout to the rest of the country, so I'm delighted about that. We've also seen our government announcing that free school meals are going to be available for children whose parents receive universal credit going forward, so that will offer free school meals towards another 500,000 children. There's 30 hours of government-funded childcare and free breakfast clubs. So this is really our government doing what we know in Blackburn with Darwen will transform the lives of young people in the borough, and I'm incredibly proud of that. The work on family hubs and the work on family help, and this is really significant, so bear with me for a few minutes. Family Help basically is going to change the way social work is delivered across the country. It's a very ambitious programme, and it's about making sure that where possible, children remain with their families and as close to their families as possible, when appropriate, of course. So I'm delighted to say that in Blackburn with Darwen, though we weren't given government funding as a trailblazer, we got ahead of the game, and we have been rolling this out. And this month, September, we've seen our social workers moving out into the family hubs. We've seen family support workers in the family hubs working very closely with families, and we've seen the impact that's had on them. We've had feedback from children and from families that has been overwhelmingly positive. So I'm delighted that the government has finally been doing what we've been doing in Blackburn with Darwen. It's the right thing, and building on the report of Josh McAllister's Children's Social Care Review. So with that, I've got 8 seconds left, and I'll move the report and take any questions. Thank you.
Could I have a seconder for your report, please, Councillor Julie Gunn? Can I have a seconder? Right, thank you, thank you. Is there any questions? Yes. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Julie, for the comprehensive report. Just a question on the elective home education. Do we know the numbers? How many are getting the education at home? And do we know the rationale for, not sending them to our schools? And also, I know you mentioned the link officer in the consider of the report. Do we actively promote any resources as a council to support and to help those children going forward as well? Thank you.
Councillor Salima Patel.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of questions. Riding the Rapids, great programme. Just want to know, how is it promoted? Is it through the family hubs or in other different channels, and what channels are they? And Stepping Stones resource has been purchased. How many families will benefit from this, and how long will it last?
Councillor Ali.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question one of my constituents asked me, Julie, thanks for the report. It's the 30 hours free childcare. Is it for if they both parents have to work, or can one work and still claim that 30 hours? Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Can we take a vote? Oh, Julie wants to reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I better reply, haven't I? So, Mustafa, thank you very much. Elective home education is the right of every parent. What we do know, and again, I'm sorry to sound like I'm boasting a bit, but Blackburn with Darwen has always worked very closely with parents on elective home education, because we do value the right of parents to make that choice, but we also don't want children to be disadvantaged by their choice. So we make sure, as the report says, what we do is that there has to be a standard of education that's being delivered, and that is monitored, that is checked. We know that, for example, when we were doing the Kind to Teeth and the oral health improvement strategy that we've developed, we wanted to make sure that children who were home educated weren't disadvantaged because they weren't in school having their teeth brushed and supervised brushing in schools. So lots of work around that, really close relationship with those parents. It's been very important to us to get feedback from parents, and only at the last Children's Partnership Board we had lots of positive feedback from parents who electively home educate their children but value the relationship and support that the council gives them. For example, keeping them in touch with a school so that they can make sure if they need curricular advice that it's available to them. In terms of reasons for doing that, they will be varied. There will be personal reasons and belief reasons that families will choose to home educate. And that is absolutely their right. We do have a right as an authority, if education isn't up to standard, to issue a notice to attend school, and that then becomes a legal process. But it's very, very rare that we need to do that because of the relationships. And again, the government has decided to change how authorities are notified on that, because I guess we were reliant on a school to say if a child had left a school role, but we also in Blackburn with Darwen don't just rely on that, because not every child's ever been in a school. So we work very closely with our health visitors, etc., to make sure that those communication methods are upheld. And resources are shared. So everything that's offered to schools can be offered to those parents who electively home educate. Riding the Rapids and Stepping Stones, absolutely, I'm delighted with these programmes. They're really important. Obviously, Stepping Stones is newly being rolled out this month, so I can't give you the numbers on that just now. In terms of how it's promoted, those are very bespoke programmes, so the relationship with the families through family hubs is really vital to that. But if anybody any residents that you're aware of who would benefit from that, please do let us know, because we will always obviously try and accommodate. Councillor Ali, I'm going to double check my answer to this. I think it'll be for one parent working, but I do need to double check. I wouldn't like to mislead you. So I will get you the proper answer to that, because it's incredibly complicated, but I will get the proper answer. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
It's a vote by show of hands. It's carried.
Madam Mayor, the next report is from the Executive Member for Housing and Public Health, Councillor Damien Talbot.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In moving the report, I'd like to actually thank the Mayor for her kind comments and supportive words from the Spark Drug and Alcohol Treatment Awards recently. We'll certainly pass those comments on. It really is appreciated in the work of the workers and the volunteers. It's a shame Councillor Taylor's not here this evening. He's had to send apologies, but I know when it was his term of office last year, he received anecdotes about the quality of the work and the service, which is, you know, widely acknowledged. And as is referred to here, we've got a good report through the Care Quality Commission, another good for this council. With that, I'd like to move the report and take any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Vote of hands for the report. Carried.
Madam Mayor, the next report is from the Executive Member for Adult Social Care and Health, Councillor Jackie Floyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just before I put forward I'd like to give you a little update from Place. So one of those Quangos, the National Neighbourhood Health Implementation Programme, we were putting in a bid very much on the back. This is about making improvements across one of the big reasons why we got good for our CQC was relationships when health, the ELHT, LSCFT, local government, voluntary sector all come together. We are going to be one of the first wave, 42 first wave boroughs in the country. There are over 148 applications. 2 are going to be in Lancashire. One is us and the other one Morecambe. So it's another tick for Blackburn with Darwen. Thank you. And with that, I'll move the report.
Seconder for Councillor Floyd. Anyone wish to speak? Councillor Desai.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a thanks really to the officers and the member, because I reported a vulnerable individual, and the action that was taken, the swiftness and it was absolutely incredible. Now that vulnerable individual is in a safe place. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for your support.
Anyone else wish to speak? Can I have a show of hands, please, on that report? Carried.
Madam Mayor, the next report is from the Executive Member for Growth and Development, Councillor Keza Mahmood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I get the feeling that we're in a rush, so I'm not going to take up a lot of your time. I'm assuming members have read the report. A couple of things to highlight. Obviously, it's not in the report, but myself and Julie attended St Luke's and St Philip's School last week, where the Walking to School programme has been running and absolutely fantastic. We're doing some social media work on that and promoting that and encouraging further schools to come forward. It was covered earlier, and I just want to touch upon the capital programme that we've been delivering. The capital programme this year has been absolutely phenomenal feats for the officers to deliver, and they've done an absolutely fantastic job in delivering over 50 schemes over the summer holidays whilst the schools were out. This capital programme's only been possible with the additional funding that was received from the Labour government. We've been able to do over 50 schemes which are really needed to be brought forward as part of our capital programmes. And the capital programme, Madam Mayor, was taken through a process of approval where myself, together with the officers, produced the programme and took it to Exec Board for approval, where it was approved. It's contrary to reports I'm seeing in social media channels where certain members and members of the one or two of the independent group claim credit for bringing the capital programme to their ward. I want to put it on record that it's misleading. They had no input into that, and the capital programme has been developed by this Labour administration and approved through the Exec Board. And with that, I'll move the report and take any questions. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
second that report, Madam Mayor.
Is there a seconder for that report? Yes, thank you. Julie Slater.
Good evening. Our planning department and our enforcement department within the council. As you're aware, we've had an inspector here regarding an issue that we've had in West Pennine Ward on the top of Whitehall. The planning team and the enforcement team came under a lot of abuse from that area, as did local ward councillors and residents, and intimidation. However, I would like to express the residents and the councillors that have dealt with it all the thanks, and for supporting residents. We had a lot of intimidation on certain residents. We had the police there and everything to help the residents for certain times. Elderly residents were getting intimidated. But our council worked the hardest to get the result, to get the people moved on to the correct place where they need to be for their children's sake. And also we can get that land back to being part of the green belt that has been ruined. So thank you to all the officers that have been involved, all the planning officers and enforcement ones that have been, and thank you to my fellow ward councillors, and also to Anthony over there that's been, because our ward touches very closely on part of it, and he's done quite a bit on the people that have complained from his side. So thank you everybody, and thank you Anthony.
Councillor Shaw.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Julie, I'm glad that you know my first name. I don't think Neil did. I thought we were friends. I just wanted to echo Julie's words and say thank you to the planning department. It's obviously been an absolute saga, especially for the residents up there who have reacted to this incredibly well and have fought this from the very beginning. I just want to ask the exec member if we can make sure that we apply this speedy, agile approach to any further sites that might pop up in the future. I'd also want to mention the sinkhole, which has obviously been the talk of the town up in Darwin. I just want to put on record my praise for the council officers and the emergency workers who turned up en masse and very quickly to deal with what is a very horrendous situation. But obviously a lot of praise has to go to the residents of that estate, and especially the ones that have moved out. I've been talking to them since it's happened. I spoke to them again today. There is an issue at the moment with information coming from the developer down to the families affected. I'm just going to ask if the exec member could please put any weight that they can on the developers to open those lines of dialogue, and any support that this council can give to those families that are impacted. It would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Councillor John Slater.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just ask the exec member, I know it's not slightly on here, but Orchard Mill in Darwin, I am fed up of being accosted, rung up, being asked by the people what's happening there, when is it being demolished, the rumours are going round, and I'm just wondering if you could give us an update. It's the old ICI plant, if that's what you think. Orchard Mill, that's what it's called, but it's the old ICI plant. It's in the centre of town. What's happening with there? I'm not asking you to give me a thing now. If you could drop me an email or thing, that would be most helpful. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Sadat.
Welcome the initiative. Are there any areas that should be conserved where there's low light areas? With regards to the libraries, so, you know, with regards to the new bollards initiative that we're doing, we're replacing so many bollards, aren't we? And we're putting low light lighting in there. Are there any areas where, because of street lighting or whatever, that we should be concerned of for residents? With regards to King George's Hall, it's good to see that the work's being carried out. Are we on budget, and is the work going to be done on time? Libraries. It's great to hear that over 2,000 children and families were encouraged to carry on reading over the holidays. I use the digital library reading services, and while it is good, are there any plans to modernise our library services, particularly around digital access for young people and older residents like me? It's very frustrating because we seem to be slow in providing newish material to read. We're always behind. We never get any new material to read on there. Housing developments. After listening to the concerns of residents of Meadowbrook, how are we holding developers to high standards when it comes to sustainability and accessibility in the new builds? And finally, when considering buying a new home, how are we defining affordable housing in these new developments? And will local families genuinely be able to access the new homes? Making rooms, absolutely fantastic initiative, been brilliant. What we have in Blackburn, it has gone from strength to strength. My concern is how will the expansion of the making rooms help local entrepreneurs and contribute to long-term economic growth in the borough? Thank you.
Councillor Marrow.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before we heard from Mr. Iqbal about concerns on a site, housing estate of the T-zone, I've had a lot of concerns from residents around the Kingswood Home site, especially those residents on St Michael's Close, both parts of it, if you know the area. Recently we've had a lot of flooding. I know there's plans for drainage work on Brokenstone Road, Gibble Lane area, but 2 weeks ago there was a lot of flooding there. We're due for another storm now. There's been the residents actually praise the environmental staff who have been down and the enforcement staff who have been down, but it seems almost to be to no effect. The builders come along on Saturdays and start at 7 o'clock instead of the permitted hours. The working seems to work when they want. They've almost lost touch with the neighbourhood they're working within and the consideration for residents around. And they wanted to express their concerns tonight themselves, but I said I'd speak to you and ask, could you facilitate a meeting just with a couple of the residents and maybe yourself, one of the director, Mr. Kelly, with a couple of residents, not a witch hunt, but just to speak to the Kingswood Homes together and actually reassure the residents in that area, because a lot of people have had building sites and building in their areas, and it is upsetting for the residents. They've lost the green space, they accept that, but they don't want the dust, the noise, the early hours of working when it's not meant to be. And as he said, they've been on through the enforcement route, and they've had environmental staff down and concurred with them, but it stops for a couple of weeks, then it starts again, and the residents are, as I said, rather fed up. And can you please, I'm asking on behalf of the residents, facilitate a meeting with just a couple of residents, yourself or Martin Kelly, to actually put their minds at rest. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Ali.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question on road resurfacing, which has been carried out across the borough, which we all welcome. Initially, I asked a question at the exec board a couple of months ago regarding the Barbara Castleway junction, which took approximately 16 weeks to complete, and it's been completed nearly 2 months now. The lights there, before the work carried out, were a lot better. The traffic was flowing a lot better. For public transport was a lot better. And ever since all this money has been spent, it's gone from bad to worse. I did raise this with the highways. They said within 2 weeks, that's over a month ago, but I've not had a response. So can I kindly ask you if you can look into this, please? Because peak times, there are massive queues, Copynook side, Preston Road side, as well as Brookhouse Lane that way. Thank you.
Any more speakers?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to thank the executive member for carrying out all these brilliant jobs, not just in Baswell and Daisyfield Ward, but all over the Blackburn with Darwin. Especially in Baswell Ward, they've done a resurfacing, road lining, and replaced the bollards. I would like to thank him and ask him if he could look into 3 main streets in our ward which need resurfacing, is Ribble Street, Copper Street and Pine Street, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that everybody? Right, can we have a show of hands, please, on this? Making a bit of a mess. Sorry, Mahood.
Is it me?
Yeah.
I'll try and keep him brief, Madam Mayor. I really do get the feeling that we all want to go, and especially yourself, I think. So, Julie and Anthony, in terms of the Whitehall Park, sort of issues, absolutely, I think, the thanks are on record in terms of the sterling work that our enforcement teams, not just officers from within Growth, but the wider teams, including the police and, the safeguarding teams have done on that site. It was a real challenge, and there were some real grave concerns, and they've done an absolutely fantastic job. You will have seen the press this week where we've got the decision of the appeal back within unbelievable times. We weren't expecting it until January, but clearly our case was so strong that the inspector delivered an appeal verdict which was really strong and actually advocates for the vacation of the site. That has a process attached to it, obviously. They have until the 5th of January, I believe, or the 15th of January, early January, I'll call it, to leave the site, and we'd hope that they would do that in a timely manner. But your thanks are on record, and absolutely learning these lessons from this approach. We've already got another site. That's already started, and a similar story is developing. So, we are taking that same approach in terms of that collaborative working across the council and much wider to make sure we take the appropriate actions. The sinkhole, Anthony, absolutely, it was a real challenge at the time, real emergency, and our civil contingencies teams, our emergency response teams, whether that's the fire brigade, the police, and everybody that was involved were absolutely brilliant. Together with the elected members that have been named, and their names have come up in discussions throughout. We have to come together, and it shows that collective response does work, and we are continually working with the developer and the coal mining authority, or coal board as we want to call it, to look at resolving this to a complete resolution and supporting the residents. And I think officers from within the Growth team have regular meetings with the developer to keep sort of the pressure on and moving the issue forward. So we'll carry on with that. In terms of the ICI, the old ICI, John, I don't have the answer, but I will get you a response on that on email. Salim, in terms of the bollard changes, you'll have seen the press, it's in my report as well. We're doing that across the borough. We want to replace these because these new bollards, which are reflective, are as good as having a light on it, and it's going to actually be more efficient and save £30,000 as it's been estimated for the council. So we'll carry on with that programme, and that's to replace bollards across the borough. The King George's Hall, it is progressing to timelines. We expect to be opening about this time next year. So we are on time. That was always our intention, that we'll be looking to be being on time. It had its challenges and continues. It's a 150-year-old building, so we do uncover stuff that we weren't expecting. So there are some of those issues that we continually address. The libraries and the modernisation, I think you might have heard this week, if you followed the conference from the Labour Party, which I suppose you didn't. But the schools ministers announced libraries in each school. I think is a real fantastic initiative to move forward with taking the libraries to school and actually encouraging our children to read, use the tools that we have. Modernisation, absolutely. We've moved into a digital age, and we have to use all the tools we have. So we'll continue with that journey of looking at how much we can do further to enhance our library offer. What else have we got from you? Housing development and standards. So yes, absolutely. I mean, I think you've heard a number of examples here how our enforcement team actually carry out the enforcement. We continually monitor the standards. We've got building controls who actually apply the building regs rigorously in terms of the developers developing to those building reg standards. So we'll continue with that. If there are any issues, if they are highlighted to us, you know, from an enforcement perspective, we will take them on board and actually do that. The making rooms, I don't think a lot of people appreciate what the making rooms delivers. If you've never been in, please, I urge you to go in. Go in on a Saturday and see all those young kids, you know, who've got loads of ideas that they're playing around with this kit to develop their ideas. See those youngsters who, you know, between the 16, 18 and a bit older, who've got projects going on in IT, in development, in electronics, who are working on this machinery that we've got as an offer free to our residents, you know, and working with the wider voluntary sector to deliver these services. So it's a fantastic facility. The enhancement will only enhance the offer. You know, it really does allow for those entrepreneurs who might be working in a bedroom, in a garage somewhere, to bring their ideas forward, work with the latest equipment, and actually grow into viable businesses. I really do think it's a fantastic offer that we've got. Councillor Morrow, in terms of the Kingswood home site, please, if you send me an email in terms of the issues, we'll get a discussion going in terms of what we can do to support from an enforcement point of view, and also, you know, sort of meeting with the residents and Kingswood as a developer, because they are really a good developer who've worked with us quite closely. So I'm surprised with what you're outlining today. I think Councillor McGurk lives on the estate, and also Gavin, as our planning manager, lives on the estate, and none of them ever mentioned anything. But if there are issues, then please email them to me. Councillor Ali, in terms of the surfacing, you know, I take your point on board in terms of the work being done, and I covered it in the initial report. The Barbara Castleway lights, I have picked it up from other sources as well, and I've asked the highways teams to look at this and check the timings. Some of these new sensors do work off technology which starts to sort of embed in terms of usage. So, you know, I will take that back. You know, if there are any enhancements that can be done to improve the traffic flow, it's an arterial route in and out of the town. I totally understand it. And if we can enhance it, we'll definitely look at enhancing that. Councillor Parvez, take your point, and thanks for the surfacing. And in terms of your request for the 3 streets, I think it's probably worth me outlining the process in terms of what goes on. We have a yearly survey on the back of all of our highways assets, in terms of our wagons and all our cars and vans that are out there, that do a road survey every year, and that then categorises roads. Previous years, like this year, we've got the money that we've had this year. If we get that money for another 3 to 4 years, I think we'll be able to get our roads infrastructure back to the point where it was, for 5-6 years ago, where it will have played catch up. So if that money keeps coming in, we'll carry on reviewing the condition of the roads, and, you know, where we can, based on the need and the deterioration of the roads, we'll do what is right in terms of providing that resurfacing scheme. So happy to look at that when that resurfacing data has been done again. So I think I've covered everybody, and with that I'll shut up and sit down.
Of hands on this report, please. Carried.
Madam Mayor, the next report is executive report from the Exec Member for Finance and Governance, Councillor Vicky McGurk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the report, but I'd like to reserve the right to speak after I've taken questions. Thank you.
Can I have a seconder for Vicky McGurk? Councillor Slater.
Hi Vicky, this is just, it's really a question that came up in Elaine's meeting. It's for governance more than anything else, and for guidance for us councillors. We were quite shocked in audit, especially my chair, that people were using Copilot and AI on reports for the council, which means council stuff is out there and we've no guidance on it. We weren't even sure, we didn't even know it was being used. There was one more shock than my chair sat there, who's really good at what she does, and would appreciate some guidance on councillors using AI and Copilot. Thank you.
Councillor Whittingham.
Just for clarity, Vicky,
the AI that was mentioned, it wasn't in our council at the sorry? I am, sorry, I'm trying to do everybody, but it was actually the ones mentioned were in the pension committee at Lancashire. There were people who suggested it might be being done at Blackburn, but the actual ones that were brought to audit were at the pension committee on the previous Monday.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Do you wish to speak, Vicky?
Yes, please. So I'll just answer the question. I guess my understanding is any report that could go through AI is a public report. So, you know, if any member of the public wants to take a published report and put it through AI, well, Part 2s aren't out there in the public, so I'd be very, very surprised if they went through AI. We don't have, as far as I'm aware, I'm kind of looking at Assad, Madam Mayor, to say, do we have an AI policy? I think it's being currently developed, and that can only be a good thing. AI is very powerful, very useful, but it also has to be dealt with responsibly. So I can't speak to the issue that you're talking about, it wasn't an audit, but certainly, you know, if AI can be useful, if any members want to use AI for published reports, then go for it, as long as it's used in a responsible way, as long as it's a published report. Now, I think that answers that question. Now, I do want to speak in addition, and it is again for Councillor Neil Slater, because in the report that Tony Humphreys raised, I just caught it, and unfortunately, I mean, I wasn't surprised, but I was disappointed that you effectively said that there was lies told. And those audit reports and that scrutiny committee was one that I was at. Now, Neil, with respect, I definitely don't want you to come across in these meetings looking daft or like you don't know what you're talking about. But because you accuse of lies, it's really important I address it. Now, the scrutiny committee itself was about the medium-term financial plan. So that's the next 3 years, not the past, not the present, but the future. Now, the MTFP, that shows a forecast of the next 3 financial years, not the current year, the next 3 in future. It said our plan, our assumption, because we don't have the information yet of what we're going to get from government, it said an assumption of 2.5% in year 1, 2% in year 3, 2% in year 2, 2% in year 3. So that puts that to bed. That wasn't where we are now, and it wasn't in the past. So that was that particular meeting. Now, the audit, again, I wasn't there, so I've just asked for some clarity. The audit committee was in respect of the 25-26 pay award this year. That was approved at 3.2%. The budget for that year estimated 3.5%. So in fact, because the pay award, now what happens, from our assumptions, it goes to unions, it goes to the Green Book, and it's agreed. And that pay award then drops in. So in fact, because we'd overestimated, and the pay award was 3.2%, there was a saving of 0.5 million, about $500,000 in this current financial year. It's also estimated, as I said, 2.5% for next year and 2% thereafter. So I hope that helps. And Councillor Slater, I would say, before making comments like that, and I'd remind you of the members' code, for both members about officers and members to members, I'm always happy to sit down, give you an education, ask the officers to help you. It's really important that you understand the reports. And it's super important you don't make accusations that you can't substantiate. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Can we have a show of hands on that report, please?
Madam Mayor, the next report is from the Executive Member for Environment and Communities, Councillor Jim Smith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I move the report and take questions, I'd just like yet again to thank our public protection team. They've took another businessman to court, nearly £500,000 worth of illicit vapes off the street. They're doing a cracking job, and I'd like to thank them. And I'd also like to thank our leisure team in Darwin Bass, because the Bass is absolutely doing marvellously with its new splash pool. And with that, I'll take any questions. Just reminding people, it's not a surgery.
Councillor Julie Slater. Have you got a seconder?
Yeah, you've got a seconder.
Yeah, thank you. Julie.
On your portfolio. We have an issue in Belmont, noise pollution, massive, motorbikes. The residents are having lack of sleep, it's causing stress and ill health. And myself and Jean and Neil would love to meet with you and the new director on Rivington Road to discuss this big problem with the parish council as a representative of the residents committee there. So that it's just us to go through it with him, not with loads of people there. The residents are very concerned with the speeding motorbikes. You know what they're like when they've got these big and they want to show the muscles off, don't they? You know, along these really... And it doesn't help because it's been lovely resurfaced. So it's really good for them going on with the motorbikes. But it doesn't help the residents. They're flipping noisy. It sounds like thunder. And on hot nights, they've got the windows open. They've got the fumes from all these bags speeding along, racing. We really need to do something about it. Thank you.
John Slater.
Oh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I welcome the comments from the executive member about Darwin Bass. But for those who've been here long enough and were on the exec board at the time, remember that said council voted against that scheme. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You had a councillor to see you.
Yeah. Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick clarification on, the membership. Members are allowed to use all three centres with one membership, or do they need a separate membership to use the centres? Thank you.
Councillor McGurk, would you like to reply? No. Councillor Desai, sorry. You wish to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick question on tree maintenance and more on the sort of cutting trees. Do we have an active programme for replanting? Because I know there's a direct correlation with cutting trees and having a detrimental impact on the environment. So I just wanted to understand if we did have any programmes in place to get them replaced. Thank you.
To sit down.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Jim. With regards to the contract, what safeguards are in place to get value for money on the new waste and recycling contract as will come up in 2026? How will the findings from the waste composition data analysis be used to improve recycling rates? Regards to the market, while I welcome another food vendor, can you tell me what strategy does the council have to promote healthy eating within Blackburn Market? We seem to be having lots of food stalls, but it's a Blackburn Market. We need a lot more variety from different vendors as well. So how are we promoting Blackburn Market to the outside world, basically? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
If you'd like to reply,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, Julie, while I would turn up and come to me, tell I don't really see what help we can give you. It really is a police issue, is the motorbikes. A few wards have motorbike issues. If you know where the bikes are stored, if you ring the police, they'll go and seize them. But I'm not quite sure what we can do. We could have a meeting with you if you think that'll help, but it's pollution. Well, off the motorbikes. If it's a police issue, the motorbikes are a police issue. It's not something really what we can deal with. Yeah, I'll repeat what I've just said. It's a police issue. The noise wouldn't be there. The police did the job and got the bikes. Yeah? So I'm not sure what we can do, but I'll have a word with Tony. I'm meeting him later, so I'll have a word with him. Yes, you're correct. We did vote against the BAS, but we weren't actually talking about the new developments that we've put in there to make the BAS more welcoming to people within the borough and outside of the borough, and it's going down very well, John. Mr. Councillor Patel. Put one here. I forgot. Oh, well, yes, yeah. Yeah, you can go to any of the gyms, join, and use all the gyms. It don't matter which gym you join at, you can use all our gyms, and they are very well used. We keep replacing our machinery, is probably the newest in town because we replace ours all the time. So I'd recommend you have a do with it. Mustafa, yes, we plant trees all the time. We've planted over 1 million. We plant loads and loads of trees. I mean, it's part of a green agenda, isn't it? So that's what we do with the trees. We monitor trees. We cut some down. We probably put 10 in place for each one we cut down, in reality, if not more. Sid, it's a difficult one with markets because they come to us who want to put a store on there. And if you want to open just selling carrots with a brew, good luck making any money. It won't happen. People want that kind of food. That's part of the problem. Yeah, but it's a business. Business then come to us. The other part of your question I missed because people were talking. If you email me, we'll answer that for you, Sid. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Of hands, please, on this report. Report carried.
Madam Mayor, this is the last report from your executive members tonight, from Digital Customer Exec Member Sean Catterson.
Thank you very much. Just before I move the report, I just want to highlight a couple of things in my report. The first one is donation of devices to Blackburn Food Bank. As part of a social value preposition with Centerprise, we have donated 30 devices to Blackburn Food Bank. This was made up of 20 laptops and 10 tablets. Now, I went to visit Blackburn Food Bank a few times, and if anybody hasn't been there, they need to go down and see the absolute wonderful work they do. The decision to donate these devices to the food bank was in recognition of their outdated equipment and the vital role in supporting residents across the borough. Blackburn Food Bank is a well-established charitable organisation that provides essential services including food supplies, assistance with job applications and financial guidance to individuals experiencing acute hardship. The new technology will enable the organisation to enhance operational efficiency and extend its support to even more residents. There's other devices available to other partners. If any of you are interested, if you make contact with Making Rooms, they should be able to help you. And another thing I want to highlight, as it was discussed earlier about AI, we are in the process of introducing AI and looking at ways we could improve services and efficiencies. Thank you.
Got a seconder for that report. Does there anyone wish to speak? Councillor Slade.
Hi. I as you know, I used to be on the digital portfolio. I've identified a little bit of a problem which, through discussions with residents, with digital exclusion. Could you tell me, I mean, if you can't today, then you can email me. Could you tell me what you're going to put in place to provide residents with digital ID for our residents, and what will be put in place for those who cannot access digital ID or have access to computers to do whatever we're going to get for digital ID, especially if they need to do digital benefits, council tax allowance, housing benefit. What processes has your portfolio put into place for our vulnerable residents for the digital ID to help them with it? Because as we know, this is a serious matter, especially if the government carry on with this digital ID. And all I can see that digital inclusion is going to make things rather difficult for some of the elderly people. Now, it's because I'm not on the portfolio anymore. I don't know how far down the line you are. So, digital ID means that elderly people are going to struggle, but also poor people who don't have IT and things like that and can't afford to get it done. So, for the residents and myself, could you please let us have a report of where you're actually up to with the digital ID? Because obviously, in the future, as councillors, we will have residents that need help and support. So we really need to know how you're going about this digital ID. You don't need to do a full thing, but if you can email the answer and the details and a report, that would be great. Thank you.
Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. I was actually reading about this week because my mum asked exactly the same question. I've not got a mobile phone. What am I going to do with this digital ID? And I read up about it, and the government's made it clear that there will be a physical card available for those who are digitally excluded. So that's your answer. Thank you.
Show of hands on this report. Oh, sorry, who wants to speak?
Yeah, thanks, Dave, for that. It was only announced a few days ago. We will look into it. Like Dave says, there will be a physical element. But to go in the deep process and procedures, I think we need more information from the government when it's introduced, and I'll get back to you. All right? Okay, when I get all the information.
Show of hands on that report, please. Carried.
Madam Mayor, I can advise that no questions have been submitted from members under Procedure Rule 11. So, Madam Mayor, that concludes the business for this council forum tonight. Good night. Sorry, the leader wants to say something before we go.
Madam Mayor, congratulations. Tricky affair. Plenty of ups and downs, ins and outs, but you came through at the end. Well done.